I am excited for you guys to meet this woman. She is such a vibe. If you're watching on YouTube, you already see she's so cute. But her and I met actually about it's only been about a month since the retreat. We met on a retreat together, and instantly I was like, I like her. And the more that we got to know each other, the more I was like, oh, I want to have her on the podcast. I have so much that I think my people would love to really dive deep into, to talk about stuff we've never talked about on the podcast. I've never had an herbalist. She's an herbalist by trade. She's also a massage therapist, Reiki practitioner. She does sound healing, womb circles, and is just really this incredible facilitator of healing. And when you meet people and you feel it from them more than they tell you about it, she is that person. So thank you so much, Maddie. I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh, with me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, she I told her, I was like, listen, I'm gonna start with this story, so I hope you're okay with it. So we're at this retreat together, and she is being like the best retreat mama. Everybody is going down with some kind of stomach issue. She is checking on everybody. So during this time, right, you have all these things that you're like, hey, we're going to get together and do yoga, or we're going to do this activity or whatever. So she's facilitating, I think at this point it was two circles. So for different things. And both times she breaks into this song. It's not the same song. I think they were both different songs. And it's more like, I kind of thought of it more of like sound medicine, of yeah, like chanting, like that type of vibe. Not like something you hear on the radio and we all just kumbaya. But it did kind of feel kumbaya-ish. But anyways, so she starts singing. One, she has a beautiful voice. Two, for whatever reason, her singing makes me cry. And I love to sing, and I can't get through a song either time. And so I kind of shared this with her at the end of the retreat. I was like, I don't know what magic you put in those songs, but they make me cry. And so she has this really great story about how she found her voice. And I thought this was a really great place to start, because I think that will help you understand a little bit more about her and about, honestly, the medicine of your body and of nature.
Not, yeah, like you said, Shalane, I did not have a voice for so much of my life. And that's not even just like a singing voice. I didn't feel like I could speak up or express myself. I had such a quiet voice growing up, so nobody heard me anyways. So I just kind of shut it out. In my early 20s, I decided I want to start being able to communicate better. So I had this intention to find my voice, but that's not really what really transpired. Was I also had a lot of trauma in my womb. And so I sought out a womb healer, if you should say. I mean,
If you will.
just kind of came to me on Instagram, and I was like, might as well give it a shot. Her name's Ashen Robinson, and she's actually incredible. But we started doing some womb work, and in there, she started making me sing, and I was so uncomfortable. And she made me actually create my own song and sing it in front of her by myself. And I wanted to throw up, and I hated it.
You're like, I'm sorry, I am not a songwriter.
Well, for my womb, whatever this is, but I did it. And I worked really hard on it. And for whatever reason, and this is at the very end of working with her and doing all this womb stuff, for whatever reason, I sing this song and it came out amazing. And she's
Of course.
crying and crying. And I'm just like, what was that? That was kind of the start. I was just like, I guess I can sing. I couldn't hold a pitch. I couldn't hold a note. I didn't know what any of that was.
I mean, I won't make her sing here, but you guys, she has a beautiful voice, and it's very soulful. It is it has it's earthy, and which is, I think, funny, because again, she does herbal medicine, but it is when it has that behind it, it's not soft. It's not that I mean, it's beautiful, but it's something that I think, when somebody says, I didn't feel like I could speak up for myself and I had a lot of trauma, I think sometimes that's not what I expected. You know what I mean?
Totally. So after that experience, I actually was able to start speaking and expressing myself a little bit more. So I got really curious. and I did this womb circle facilitatorship with Usha Nandi, and that just kind of skyrocketed it. And she taught me that your voice comes from your womb. Your throat and your womb look almost exactly the same if you look down anatomically at them. One opens, the other opens. And so, because I was doing all this work on my womb was starting to open and I was freeing up the space. And so, I freed up the space in my throat. And her big thing that she taught me was you don't sing from your throat. And a lot of women, especially, want to sing from their throat because it sounds prettier or higher or like melodic.
Hmm.
But when you start bringing it from deep within in your womb space, then I think that's when you get that soulful feeling. And when you can actually like hold a note and like use your breath to actually carry it.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. And I am so passionate about teaching other women about the same thing because I think it's something that we don't know. And it's more than just singing, right? It's about actually speaking your truth. You have all of like your ancestral wisdom in your womb and your intuition lives in your womb. And so when you tap into that, then you have to have somewhere for it to go and to be expressed. And that's when your throat comes in.
Yeah. I know it's so fascinating because again, I think sometimes when we think like what we're meant to do in this life, it'll be something that like when we're young, we'll just like know. And it's interesting. I find a lot of times the people that I talk to, it's like the adversity is actually what showed me the way. It wasn't the things that I was naturally good at.
Totally. If you struggled with something, I always say this like your biggest struggle is your greatest gift to the world.
Hmm.
You have to go through it in order to give it to other people.
Yeah. You have to almost be able to like know the full spectrum or more of the spectrum of the experience enable it for you to be able to have some of these conversations when people are coming to you and telling you they've done everything, but like they're still having like all this pain in their womb or they're all, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Exactly. One of my mentors, Sam, says it best. And she's like, there is a ring of fire in your life. And if you don't step through that ring of fire, then you can't support other people who've been through the same ring of fire. You kind of have to meet people there. And if you're
Yeah.
not walking through that same threshold, then it's really hard to meet them.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I was training to become a facilitator for YTT, and one of the things that my teacher told me was like, if you want people to express themselves or share vulnerable experiences. And a lot the way that we led YTT was a lot more, I always joke, it was a lot more like life school and a lot less like learning to teach yoga. It was a lot more of the actual like traditional parts of yoga. Yes, we taught you how to do the asanas, but it was a lot more of like the mind and all of the things that are actually more of what yoga is about. And so when you're asking people to dive deep into some of these feelings or these experiences, he was like, you can't ask them to go where you're not willing to go. So set yourself on fire.
Mm.
So it was like being willing to, I love that you use kind of the ring of fire because like same thing, you have to be willing to like set yourself on fire, be exposed, and like all of that kind of masking that you do be able, like that has to be able to, you be willing to burn that away in order if you're going to ask other people to do the same.
No, 100%. And, with that and with singing, like, I truly believe every single person has a voice. We were born with a voice for a reason. And I think it's like really finding that and tapping back into it and being confident in what you have. And I think that's when like the very soulful, embodied voice comes through and why it does feel so emotional because it didn't just come like you go through the depths to find that and bring it out.
Yeah. It's like have you heard this story? I love this. I've used it a couple of times when I've like taught yoga or like different things like a yoga class, or I'm trying to help people understand like their own unique power. There's this tribe in Africa that when the parents decide they want to have a baby, the tribe starts to come up with a song for the baby, whatever it is. And every night, like before they go to bed, before they would have sex, like when they were approaching the time where it would show you whether or not, you were going to be pregnant because your period would show up or it wouldn't, they would sing this song. And then throughout the entire pregnancy, the whole community would sing the song to the baby. And that way, with tears every time this story gets me. And that way, hold on, I might need to collect myself. I'm a crier, you guys. I don't, if you've ever listened to an episode, I feel like I come to tears at some point every time. But then during the birth, they sing the song. And then basically, because the whole point of the story is that like you were always wanted and there's always this like melody for you and this community knows you because they know your song. And so anytime you doubt yourself, it was like, that's how the community would remind you of who you are and who you've always been. And like, I was like, again, it gets me every time, but like how important being able to like know who you are and be able to express those things, like they have to go hand in hand. And I think, just talking about your experience of like finding your voice, it was funny on the thing when we were on the retreat, she told me, she's like, oh yeah, I was told I did not have a good voice. I was like, who told you that? They are wrong. Her voice is beautiful.
Well, they're probably right at the time.
But it's hard to believe when you hear somebody. Now, she wasn't like belting out an opera for us or anything like that. But again, like, when you hear live music and it like moves you, like it's like that. Like she's singing and it is moving you. And obviously, because I couldn't sing anything, so I was crying. And surprise, surprise. And so like to be at a space where people feel like they don't know who they are, they feel like they can't express themselves, and to understand that some of that is all of the layers of like what other people have said you have to be, or what you've allowed other people to think that you need to be this way in order to be, it to be safe to express yourself. And like to have that experience of like, yeah, it had actually nothing to do with like singing lessons or natural talent, and everything to do with finding my own unique expression that changed the way that literally my biology expressed itself.
And with the medicine songs specifically that I do bring to circle, they're like mantras, right? They're affirmations that we're singing, and you sing them over and over again, especially in a collective group of women. And it just makes it so much more powerful. You say a mantra, it's more powerful. You sing it, you resonate with that vibration in your body, then like it just becomes so real. And I think a lot of people get really overwhelmed and emotional in the times of singing together. You're not alone in it. And it just like reinforces everything in your body. And then I think that unlocks the pathways for it to come out a little bit more harmoniously. Um, Cool stuff. And to the tribe story you said too, it made me think there's this beautiful instrument called a sistrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the goddess Hathor's instrument, and it's like a rattle. And we rattle it because the sound brings you back into your body, like a rattle with a baby is bringing their spirit into this body, into this physical form.
I didn't know that.
I almost wonder too if like singing is also bringing us back into our physical selves and like calling our soul back into this body almost.
Mm. And think about all the people that think because they don't have a good singing voice, they don't sing.
Yes, and it hurt me because it was me, and it's so untrue.
Yeah.
Everybody can sing, and we don't sing to sound good. I always say our medicine, it doesn't matter if you're carrying a note or not. Just to sing, you're vibrating your vagus nerve, and that you're regulating your entire nervous system. And so
Yeah.
alone, like you were born with a voice because it is your medicine, and it's just so divinely made and constructed, and it's just so beautiful. And I don't want anybody to hide their voice.
Yeah. Well, and again, I just always kind of think too of like all the ways that we like hide ourselves, even like what you're saying, like, because it's not even just about singing, you guys. This is about like when you feel like you're not good enough for something, so you don't speak up. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring her on. Was I love the way that she uses sound, vibration, ceremonies, herbalism. Like all of this brings us back to a very more of those ancient cultures and those practices of holism. There was this, I love when you're like, oh my gosh, I ended up on the right side of TikTok. Thank God. And it put me in front of this man who he is a doctor, and he teaches all about ancient tribes and a lot of the practices and like the healing, like different healing practices that were kind of just a part of the way that people lived. And he was talking specifically around circles. And he's like, we didn't have therapy. We had elders. We didn't have like support groups. We had circles. We would sit down circle around the fire. We would circle around and dance and sing and chant. And those were we didn't need to go to these other things. They didn't exist because the way that we lived was healing, And so it's like so much of what Maddie does really, I think, is bringing back a lot of that ancient wisdom, which we're seeing so much more. We're seeing so much more of that. And whether, it's relabeled as, I love when people are like, it's biohacking. And I was like, bitch, why do you do this? After like thousands of years, I'm glad you caught up. Cool.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is we've lost touch with the way of being for so long. We have all these shortcuts and all these different tools, which is awesome. But we know everything within our souls and within our bodies. It's just our innate wisdom. And being around people and being in community is really like the biggest healing to
Mm-hmm.
know we're not alone and to be in the oneness and sharing in that and harmonizing our voices, or not even harmonizing, just using our voices together. And even like a chanting or a song is opening you up so that you can speak a little bit more freely. Be heard and hear the wisdom from your elders. And that's why I love the circles that I do down here. Women ages like 20 to 70 come, and it's
I
incredible.
love that. Yeah. Tell me about your circles because we don't live close to each other. We live in different states, but there was for a little while, I was going to a women's circle. It was kind of the first thing. This was, I don't know, this might have been like 10 years ago now, maybe even more, 11 years ago. That doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but I could be wrong. And at the time, like I had never been exposed to something like this. And I was like, why are we putting like things on this blanket? Does anybody have an offering? I was like, what's an offering? Was I supposed to bring what? Like, I'm like, what? I mean, I kind of understood a little bit, but I was like, I don't know the protocol. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm trying to you know what I mean? So I would love to hear a little bit because I think it was very eye-opening to have so many. Since then, like I've done a lot of circles and done sweat lodges and kind of all of these similar ideas of bringing people together to help people feel supported, whatever that looks like. But I would love to hear a little bit about yours and kind of what you do. Because again, I love that you're kind of bringing so much of like a lot of these like ancient practices and making it a place to heal for people.
And I think that's all it is. I don't go over the top of, I mean, specifically getting past my ancestral lineage and not appropriating any cultures because,
Mhm.
I'm very white. And so I'm going to keep it that way. And I do think that it is more approachable in my community to not expect and ask so much of people. I do build an altar, but it's based off of the season and the things that I gather from the natural world just to bring in that element of nature to
Mhm.
support and ground us. But a lot of it is singing and drinking tea, having a tea ceremony, and then talking about the subject that's on hand. And whether that's like with your circle opposite and then sharing in a group or us all sharing together. I think the medicine that I've learned in my life before I even started hosting these ceremonies is just the power of being together and being heard and witnessed and not being alone because we're just very alone in this day and age. And
Yeah.
it's easy to isolate yourself and to have the courage to step out and get in a group of women who are there to support because they came for a reason. They want to receive support, they want to offer support. And yeah, I think it's mostly just about getting back to ourselves. And my main intention for all of it is getting back to nature. Kind of where the womb part comes in is going through the cycles of the womb and educating on that and just allowing people, and especially women, because we reflect the cycles of nature so profoundly that we are nature. And when we start tapping into that and not fighting against it, then you find so much ease in your life.
Yeah.
So, very simple. I think it's just the power of being together and talking and
Mhm.
being.
Yeah, and I love that you even brought that up of like, hey, I'm very white. I'm not trying to pull all these traditions or chants or all this other stuff from all of these different, lineages. And I think it's one thing to be, again, being mindful and being, again, of white descent. but training under somebody who is Lakota or training under somebody. And when they give you their blessing, that's different. But I think so many times, like we see something, we're like, oh, well, I'm going to do that too. Or you go to something and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do that because I really I got a lot from that. And I always say think of it more of like an essence. If that's something you learned, how can you either honor the tradition, but make it appropriate for your community without taking it and saying that it's yours? You know what I mean? I think that's the difference. There's a difference when it's done with honor. There's a difference when it's done with intention. And I feel like most of the Indigenous people that I've worked with are all like, listen, as long as you're, again, recognizing like where the tradition comes from, doing your best to honor it, and like not trying to make it something that it's not, or take credit for something that you didn't build, or you didn't, it wasn't passed down to you, or things like that. That's a very different experience. And I think sometimes people get those things confused. And I think also just the meeting people where they're at now, whether, again, in any spiritual practice or even in business, like people are finding you and they're like, hey, Maddie, like, I know you're an herbalist. You can work with some stuff. Like, I've got all these things. Can you do for me? Like, do you have a specific protocol? And her and I were talking before the call, and she's like, you can book time with me and I can actually make you something custom rather than stealing somebody else's protocol because that works for them. I think there's so many of those things of like, take what works for you and actually make it your own, instead of taking things that are other people's and saying they're your own. But again, bringing in like the herbs and the things for that specific season, I think we need more of those things. Go ahead.
I was just gonna adding on to that. It's a relationship.
Mhm.
Can't do anything unless you build the relationship with it. And I do facilitate cacao ceremonies, and I don't take that lightly. But I have built a relationship with cacao for the past 4 years, using her very intentionally and connecting with her spirit. And I would never facilitate it unless I didn't feel connected to it. And it's a specific cacao from a specific farm that I facilitate with because
You guys, it's also delicious. So if you haven't, if you don't know her yet, okay, I'm going to put her website below. You can go ahead and go check her out. Go find her on Instagram, touch_of_Flora with 3 A's. I've sat in a lot of cacao circles and ceremonies, and I was like, how do you make it so good? Whoever you're getting it from, like, you love them and they love you because it is tasty.
But same thing with herbs, like, it's hard to just give herbs, and I was doing it for a little bit, like, making, like, blended herbal, potions, but it's so unique to each person, and I truly believe plant medicine doesn't work until you have a relationship with it, and same with anything, like, if you're not devoting yourself to it and really learning it and taking the time to connect, then you're not gonna get the full experience, and I think that's why people don't love plant medicine because it doesn't work right away.
Yeah, because they want to use it like pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and it's not, and it'll be way
Mhm.
better once you, like, build that relationship and start working with it, but it's not a one size fits all, and I encourage people to ask for what they want before they take the medicine, like, you have to be so intentional, and
Yeah.
that's find the best results and honestly the best life because living in intention and relationship with the natural world is the best thing ever. It's hard to get there and it's hard to realize how to get there, but it
Well,
should.
I think we don't really have many people who do either as examples. Like, so much of our society is convenience and wanting to avoid any adversity. And fun fact about Maddie, she is not adverse. She does not avoid adversity. This girl hikes barefoot. Fucking crazy.
I just
I'm sorry, you what? I was like, my delicate feet could never.
Her first date I went on with my partner, I took my shoes off and I was like, if this man can take his shoes off, then he's the one. And he didn't first, but he did after and he loved it. And I was like, all right, sold.
That's how I know. Yeah, and I love that you even brought up, like, again, the comparison of, like, pharmaceuticals to, like, the natural world. If you guys didn't know this, like, in when people were growing their own food, they would actually spit on seeds because the seeds, once they were planted, would be literally medicine. So when they say let food be your medicine, this is actually what they're talking about, that you are so close to your food that, again, in like the epigenetic perspective, it starts to alter based on your needs. So like you could measure different levels of different molecules, even though it was technically the same plant. It was different, not because of rainfall or runoff or soil, but because of what the person needed, like comparing their DNA or their like microbiome, things like that, to the food that was planted, which I think is just so fascinating when, again, you're wanting it to just here work for me instantly. It's like if nature is not an active ingredient.
Right. So much. That is like so true to all of it. And even if you're not spitting on the seed, even like being around it and having your dander fall and like working in the
Yeah.
like in your
Working
energy,
with your hands. Yeah. Like even touching the plants, wipe their leaves off, stuff like that.
talking to them, right?
Yeah.
And I found like even different plants, the same plant, like let's say a lilac bush that's in my house versus one that's down the street, they both want to offer different things, even though they're the same plant.
Mhm.
Getting to know the plants that are around you and what they want to offer you specifically, because they have this wide range of healing that they want to offer you and different constituents, but some
Mhm.
might have more than others. And so, really getting to know it. And I know it sounds so woo woo to talk to your plants, but I truly think anybody can if you're just patient enough to like sit down and listen and meditate. And even just like acknowledge what they look like and how they grow and where they're growing tells a lot.
Yeah. Well, very few people these days could tell anything by the shape of the leaves. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a lost art. Like, people just don't slow down. They don't pay attention. When they're walking, they have earbuds in. Like, slow down. Like, when you go on a hike, like, look at the different kinds of rocks. Cause I'm in a desert. We don't got a lot of greenery, but I do with what I can. Okay. More minerals, less.
Great desert plants, actually, some like really powerful desert plants.
We do, but it's not as she lives in Colorado, you guys, so like you got a lot more green to work with.
But like for example, even like a spruce tree, the pine needles are so pokey. Like a spruce is here to protect, so that's protection energy, and it's very simple. Like I think we try to make it so complex and like
Yeah.
get the veins on the leaf, but no, like it's so simple.
Usually its structure tells a lot about what it offers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a rose.
Yes. And it's funny I always say it's funny, but I'm like, ironic? No. You know what I mean? But like I kind of talk about this a lot with like illnesses too, of like think about like what the illness, like the symptoms that it forces you to express. A lot of times it behaves that way in the body. And I was at a conference this weekend and we were kind of talking about complex like illnesses and like co-infections and things like this. And one of the presenters is a medical doctor. She's an MD. And so she's presenting to a lot of naturopaths and holistic practitioners and people of that kind of realm. And she was like, it's interesting, like, look at the way that mold behaves. Look how mold behaves in the body. It hides. It hides under these things. How many times have you done all the things only to realize, like, oh, like underlying that is mold. So you have all these other things that you think it is. And it's like, it's like what is it? Like a distract, I can't remember what it's called, like a deflection type of thing. And she's like, so of course your symptoms would also express that way. That's how it behaves in the body. So it's like all of nature, if you think of bacteria, viruses, plants, like fungi, all of that is a part of nature. Like, and we've co-evolved with all of these things. So when you're starting to like want to either work with plants or invite more of that maybe into your home using more herbs, using whatever it is, kind of like Maddie is saying, like being in relation with it, but also part of being in relation with it is noticing like, what does it smell like? What does it feel like? What are some of the colors? Like I always tell people, I'm like, it's actually not that complicated. When you have like an energy center that is struggling to hold energy, eat more fruits and vegetables that are that color. Stop making it complicated. There are literally like photon receptors, and some cells are even colored, and they will change color based on the nutrients that you give them. And quite literally, they are affected by light frequency. So, like, I'm like, again, kind of like Maddie is saying, like, it's not actually as complicated as you think. And I think people think it's hard because it's not normalized anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And everything's complicated these days, it seems like.
Yes. Yeah.
It should be. And it feels far fetched since we don't even try, but yeah, it's so simple.
Well, and how many times, especially like when you hear about people who got stranded someplace or they got hurt and like couldn't get, and they're like, I just used what was around me. And it was like exactly what the body would use to be able to start like a healing process and stuff like that. And they're not herbalists. They're not out there like picking berries and, holding, making tinctures and doing all these like things. No, it's that there's that wisdom inside of us that can, make sense of what we're intuitively and emotionally and a feeling in relation to the natural world.
Yeah. It's such an intelligent system within us and without, and it's growing for us everywhere.
Yeah.
What you need is usually growing in your backyard. There's so many dandelions everywhere. It's probably because a lot of people need some liver support.
Oh,
You know?
don't even get me started.
But most of the times, what you need is usually growing around you, and that's kind of how it should be. You should be eating the plants and veggies and fruits that grow around you because it has your environment in mind and what's
Right.
affecting it versus like getting something from a tropical land when you live in the desert doesn't really make a whole lot of sense
Don't say that. Don't kill my pineapple and my mangoes, okay? I'm just kidding.
it's a treat, but like,
Yeah.
and if we're going back to ancestral times, they're eating what's around them, and the earth is so intelligent, it's growing what they need around them.
Well, and
Actually,
again, like you're co-evolving with your environment. Whether you think you are or not, you are. Again, I like somebody who's from Las Vegas. When I go to some place that's really cold, I always joke like I have thin blood, but it's really that like I'm like I need 6 coats. It's really that I've adapted to 120 degrees for, 8 weeks out of the year that's really hot. And so if you're from some place that never really gets above 80, like, not it's not that you're yeah, she raises her hand. It's not that the blood is thin, but it's that your adaptation of your body and the way that it regulates your temperature has changed with your environment. Food is the same, nature is the same because it does the same thing that you do.
totally. And not to get super woo woo, but like we have talked about the womb, and I do believe that your menstrual blood carries so many codes of your body's intelligence.
Mm.
And I believe in giving it back to the earth, just in like a very dry spot, not around anything living, because it is technically death, but giving it back to the earth so the earth knows how to support you. And this morning I was out on my walk and motherwort grew right where I give my blood. And motherwort is like a comforting mother's hug.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Really? Yeah.
But to the point of like you give yourself back to the earth and then like your spit or your menstrual blood, and it really does start adapting to you and understanding what you need because it is magic. I hate to use the word magic, but it is magic.
I think when you say magic, like if you like you're in awe of the intelligence.
Yeah.
Like the intelligence that is there. And people are so, it's funny that you say like woo. I'm like, I don't think that's woo at all because for literally, again, our entire evolution, where did our blood go?
Right.
To the earth. And even where do you think it goes when you fucking flush a toilet?
It's true. It goes back to the earth.
Yes. Like just because you're,
Giving it back to some people and like working with it and touching it is weird.
yes, I'm like, it's really only been, I would say, probably the last 100 years, maybe give or take probably a little more, that this has become strange.
Yeah. And it
It's
is bad.
yes, and not only strange, but like that society has felt like disgusted by that kind of thing.
And
And
there's a reason, right? Because there's so much power in it. And so to dim that power and make it disgusting kind of takes it away.
yes, well, and again, then when you look at something like this, where you're like, I'm giving back to the earth and things that grow there because of how it's nourished, that again also says signals to the body of the intelligence of how we commune with the earth. And when you remove that awareness. And so now we don't have the awareness of how connected we are, not only to ourselves, but also to the earth, which means that there's more control other places.
And we have
You know?
internally and
Yes.
somebody else's pharmaceuticals to help us when
Yeah.
the greatest thing you can do is connect back to yourself and back to nature.
Yeah. So then I want to know, what are some of your ways that you connect to nature? Obviously, giving back your menstrual blood is one of them. But what are some of the other ways that you feel is easy for other people to connect with nature so they can take something from this and like connect back to themselves, connect back to their like womb wisdom, and have practical ways to be able to start that process for them?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's getting outside every day.
Yeah.
And whether you live like in an apartment in the city or maybe you have a tree in your backyard, like finding something that you can go sit with uh, and just make it a habit. Like some days you can just sit with it for a second or for 10 minutes, or maybe it's an hour and you didn't even realize how long it's been. But I think just sitting and acknowledging the plant. Trees are one of my favorite ways. I have a tree. His name is Haggard. And I've been singing since I was like 13 years old. And that is probably the best way for me to connect to nature is just sitting under a tree. And you'll notice trees have powerful energy, like it's palpable. Anybody who I've ever brought to sit next to a tree can feel it. And trees are so grounding that, like, it's just probably one of the easiest ways, or just like walking up to a plant and just noticing, like looking at the flowers, touching it, like you said, feeling it, just like acknowledging the plant and taking the time to like notice the textures and the colors. And then it just kind of transcends from there when you start actually acknowledging and saying hi to plants, then they know that you're interested and they'll start giving back to you. Not actually going out and saying hello and greeting them, then they're not going to know that you're interested.
Well, and again, I think this brings us back to even talking about what we were talking about at the beginning is like being in relationship with them. And it's really not that, like, again, you need to be like, well, we're going to have a full conversation out loud for everybody to hear. It's not like that.
No.
But it's like anything else, like taking a moment to see them, to touch them, to do these things that we don't often slow down and do. And because we've evolved with plants, our ancestors have evolved with plants, and the wisdom that is passed down through our genetic coding, that sometimes what you're experiencing is remembering once you've again made that contact and made that a priority for you is to connect with the world around you again. It's like opening up a door, I think, sometimes that you didn't even realize you or somebody else shut before you. And you're like, okay, I'm inviting you in. Like, it's an invitation.
Yeah. And it's a practice, right? It doesn't happen overnight. Like it didn't happen for me overnight, but continually doing it and showing up. And also, like, as much as you're noticing the plant or whatever wildlife you're acknowledging, like, then tapping in and seeing how you feel internally. You feel anything? Because that's usually like the sign of what the plant wants to give you. Like, do you feel a little heat in your womb, or do you feel some flutters in your chest, or is your throat getting clogged? Like really subtle things can often tell you a lot because the plants are communicating with us energetically because they are so energetic. So tuning into your body as much as you're tuning into the outside world and like not making it this crazy thing. Like I said, it can be just for a few minutes and just continuously showing up. But if you don't show up, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, like anything else. And I feel like that's probably the biggest lesson is like, if you want something, if you want your life to change, if you want deeper connection with nature, if you want to feel, again, kind of to me, it's like connecting back with nature is kind of like taking your power back, like all the ways in which you've been told you have to rely on other people, have to rely on other people's wisdom. And I think when you connect with nature, it says like, fuck you. I know myself best and I trust myself. And so Maddie's talking about, noticing the small things. Like that actually takes a lot of effort in today's world where we're taught to ignore, we're taught to suppress, we're taught to pummel things to the ground, like just run right through them, like don't pay attention. It's asking actually for you to like wake up to your power, I think.
Totally. And I think like with social media, it gets really dimmed because we can go to social media and find a recipe for an herbal tincture.
Mm,
I really advise against it because then you're not actually like creating that connection for yourself and understanding exactly how it works. I
yeah.
think a lot we have innate wisdom for, and we can really tap in and find it from within instead of getting the quick answer. And maybe even the quick answer is stopping you from going outside and making that connection with the tree that's right outside your door.
Yeah, it's so much easier to order like a tincture of pine
Yeah.
rather than go literally. I'm like, I could probably walk around my block and connect with 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
just slowing down and not taking the easiest route all the time.
Yeah. Do you have like a tincture or something that you've made that you've really loved that's like helped you?
Right now, or like what? My
No, you know how like you have every person, I think, because of who they are, has like, even though they know a ton of like herbal remedies or homeopathic remedies or supplements, whatever it is, but they kind of have their like go-to things that work for them or work for their clients often or things like that. Like, do you have a few that are just like your favorite?
I think like the my probably top tincture I've ever made, and it's because like I went through so much around it, is a heart healing tincture. My heart's needed so much healing, and I connect so deeply with heart remedies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find a lot of people come to me looking for it, and it's probably one of my all-time favorites. But it's got like hawthorn and rose and damiana and holy basil. And just a cool thing about heart medicine, side note, is most all heart medicine has thorns.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. The idea, I mean, all of them have the most beautiful open flowers because it's important to stay open in love, but obviously you can be too open sometimes and you don't want to leak your boundaries. And so the thorns on the plants really help you stay protected and keep your boundaries strong, which I just love. It's just, again, the innate intelligence of
Mhm.
nature.
It's almost like, again, like having the thorn that there like protects the beauty of it
Yeah.
rather than it being something that's like harmful or hurtful. It's like it allows that openness, it allows that vulnerability because of the protection.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
herbs always got me.
so fascinating.
And especially working with women, like we all need a little heart.
Yeah. Well, and when I was at this conference, she said something really profound. So this particular speaker was a evidential medium, but she was also like a medical medium. So she would feel what I kind of experienced a similar thing, not to the degree that she does, but she would feel what people are feeling in their body, their like pain, but also then she can feel where it's coming from, like lineage wise. So really, yeah, really, really fascinating. And she was talking kind of about the nervous system. And she was talking about how before, women who had opinions, women who questioned the truth or questioned what they were told or were a little wild or were, again, had a mind of their own, were labeled a witch and burned. Not that they were necessarily always practicing what we think, quote unquote, is witchcraft. Because again, that's a whole like other podcast.
The witch is just your own healer.
Yeah. But again, it's like these practices to be able to encourage the body's innate wisdom. And she's like, what we experience now after years of suppressing that is most women who've experienced that in past lives are now in functional freeze. She's like, so if you can't burn the witch, what do? You freeze her. And I was like,
So funny, I'm working through my functional freeze right now.
yeah, well, you got witch shit you got to take care of.
I for sure do.
Yeah. Yeah. You 100% do.
Yeah, I do. I've definitely been burned at the stake. I've been told that many times.
Yeah. But
That's fascinating.
yeah, when we're talking about like thinking about like again, the opposites of like, again, a lot of women will overprotect their heart or they will overgive. And it's like that same thing of like, if one didn't work, what else could work? What's the opposite of that could also be there? And I think so many times, again, when you look at the essence of something, and I think that's important, is like the plants have an essence. Each person kind of has an essence. Some people are very like vivacious and vibrant, and they're like a lot of energy, and you're like, I feel so great, but also I couldn't do this 24 hours a day. And then other people are really grounding and centering. You feel really calm around them. But you're like, I also couldn't be that 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? So it's like understanding that like there's this, like every person, every plant, every, experience has this like essence behind it. And the more that you can tune into that stuff, the more that you can tune into what's for you. And again, like don't overthink it. I love that, like, again, the observation of all of these beautiful flowers that are for the heart also have protection. So it's like you don't need to have these hard boundaries that separate you from people, but you also need to be clear, and that's different than being hard.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. And even in herbalism, we'll say, oh, this person's a holy basil person. Like we kind of like
Yeah.
what properties are in a plant we can give to a person.
What would you say I am?
No, that's interesting. Honestly, I don't know. I'm
That's
like, you hot? Do you run hot?
not too hot, no.
Cooler? I feel like you're giving more kapha.
It's interesting. I feel like I've felt more kapha for like 3 years. On Friday, the new moon with like a bajillion planets in it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 25 again. Since Friday.
You're reignited.
Well, okay, so again, this is like a side quest, but I am a Virgo rising, and I've seen. Are you really?
Yeah.
Or no, I'm a Virgo sun. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Virgo sun. I'm a Sagittarius rising, and I'm a Gemini moon.
I'm a Gemini moon.
Okay, that's probably why we like each other.
Fine.
That's probably it.
Anyway, okay.
But anyways, I'm like, for the past 3 years, we moved into this house, and I honestly was like, I think I might want to check my house for mold. I have felt way more kapha energy, which if you're not familiar with like Ayurveda, kapha is it's like very relaxed, very grounded, slow moving, very like, usually it's like smooth skin. I always think like Hawaiian or Samoan, like that lineage. Typically very like straight hair, oils are their skin is, all those things. And for a couple of years, I'm like, I have always felt like I have a lot of energy. I have a lot of creative energy. I have a lot of like zest for life. I have a very active sacral chakra, which tracks. The past 3 years, though, I was like, maybe I need to get the house checked for mold. I feel different, but it could be, again, like we moved into this house, we remodeled it. I was in school. Like I've also had like a lot of responsibilities. So I'm like, could be all those things. Literally Friday. I am not kidding you when I say I'm like, I feel like a whole fucking different person, like the person I was like years ago. And not because I'm like, I went to this conference and I was like, I feel I couldn't sleep one night. And I was like, I feel maybe I'm just really excited. Maybe like all that I'm learning. And I was like, that just doesn't seem to track, to be honest, with just like what's kind of going on. And I was, after Nicaragua, where her and I went together, I was down for like a week. I was so tired. I was like, it was such a hard recovery, which I was like, what is going on? I also got like my stomach hadn't recovered. I got sick again literally the day I got back. Not great. Yeah, I had like a fever on and off. It was not good. And so I was kind of worried about traveling again. I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It is now Wednesday and I feel the exact same. And I was like, I just needed planets to rearrange themselves and my life is fixed.
I agree. I think it's just like the energy of the cosmos right now.
Yes. And I was like, see, again, we evolve in relation.
And now we're just all vibing. We're not sleeping, but it doesn't matter if we're sleeping because we have all this energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm like, I don't think I've ever been so affected by an astrological transit in my entire life.
It's been wild.
I was like, what the fuck is like when people say that they're like, oh, because Mercury, honestly, like technology is kind of always like, I say a prayer every time. I was like, so is Mercury in the microwave? I don't know. But I was like, something is happening up there. It was.
What is happening?
Yes. And I was like, so anyways, I'm on TikTok and I came across so many different people. They're like, hey, I don't know if it's just a Virgo sun thing, but my life has felt like toilet for the past 3 years. And I was like, me too. And then they're like, everything changed on Friday. I was like, me too.
Oh. No, well, if Sun's in Aries, then you just got all this energy back.
Yeah, I guess so. I was like, I don't think I have a lot in Aries, but whatever the hell it was all in, I was like, it likes it now. Yes, I will take whatever this is. Never go away. I feel so grateful. I will never be ungrateful again in my life. That's how I feel.
has to go down. So we just got to keep this reminder that it'll come back up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, no. I'm just like, I am grateful. Let me just sing it out to the world. That's my vibration. Maddie told me to sing. I will sing.
Yeah, sing to the planet.
I will.
Aries energy. Maybe it'll like harness deeper into your body. So
Yeah. Anchor it in right into my womb. Lock it in there. But yeah, like we're talking about, we're in relation with everything. Like everything. If you don't think that shit is
around us.
yeah.
We're not.
Well, that's the thing is I'm like, honestly, nothing else. There are times, and I think it's happened so many times in my life where I'm like, there is no other explanation. There is no other explanation why this would happen like that. Like, there's no way. It would, like, the probability stacked against it. So the fact
The probability of this earth is pretty stacked again.
I know. Or that we're even here as human beings.
Yeah. So it's all pretty fucking cool.
Yes. So yeah, just I think like to surmise the entire like hour that we've been talking is basically like be more wowed by things.
No.
Be more connected to the world around you and like watch how it really starts to like literally heal you, transform you. It really is. You're incredible. And I'm so glad that you came on here. This is so fun.
It was so fun.
I'm
nervous and now I'm just like,
yeah.
you're having the best.
It's so funny because I feel like, you know, people are like, well, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, don't worry, I could talk to a wall. I was like, we will find shit to talk about. I'm a yapper, okay?
Well, you got a podcast.
Exactly. I needed a place for my yaps to live.
I love it. Thank you.
And people seem to like it. So I'm like, oh, yes, I'll just keep going.
No, I love that. I've been listening to it. I'm like, yes.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. Now you can listen to your own episode. It's funny. People are like, do you listen to the podcast? And I was like, no. I mean, I do, but I was there for it. Like,
You experienced it.
I was here. And I have to edit it sometimes. So I hear it a lot, you guys. Yeah.
You're editing, I can't imagine.
Yeah. But I am so grateful for you. If you guys want to learn more about herbalism and working with your womb and like connection to nature, maybe you're in the Colorado area and you're like, hey, I would love to go to a Sacred Sunday circle with Maddie. You can find her on Instagram, touch_of_Flora with 3 A's. Her website is touchofflora.com. That is a place too. If you're like, hey, I have yet to be one with nature and it's not talking to me. Could you possibly hook me up with like whatever the hell I need because something's going on in my body? Maddie is like, again, I can make some custom things. I can, again, it's like when you tune into somebody, you can also tune into some of what they need and things like that. So if you're really curious about how to work more with the herbs and nature around you, that is a great place to go, touchofflora.com. And I always ask everybody.
On that, before we move on, I don't have a lot of stuff on my social media. So just like reach out to me. You're not going to find it just looking on my website or my social media.
She's like, I'm friendly, I promise. Just
talk to me.
Yeah. She's like, I like real life connection.
You are human design, and I am following that because I am,
I always ask people if you were trapped in an elevator and you were only riding 1 or 2 floors up, so you had to give the secret of life, the secret to becoming the frequency, becoming their highest vibration, to overcoming, what would you tell somebody in about 30 seconds?
Yeah, I would say slow down. My favorite song is Vienna by Billy Joel, and he just says it perfectly. Slow down. Be mindful of everything you're doing. I think we can live in a living ceremony every single day of our lives if you choose that and are really mindful about how you're spending your time and what you're choosing to connect with. But the slowness is really the juice of life. And I had a couple come in to see me the other day for massage, and there were times they're like, we don't have anywhere to go. We're just going so slow, and this is the secret of life. And I was like, yes, it is.
And you have figured it out. You're enlightened.
But like, we can give ourselves more time to go to those places, you know?
Yeah. I love that. I honestly, that is kind of the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already slowed down, maybe now is the time, turn off the podcast and take a deep breath and slow down for just a little bit. Well, thank you so much, Maddie, for being here. Again, you can get in touch with her on Instagram, touch_of_Flora with 3 A's. Check out our website, touchofflora.com. Or if you ever want to say hi to either of us on Instagram, we would love to hear from you. But until next time, cheers.
Thank you.